Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. A geopolitical storm is brewing, not on a distant battlefield, but right here, in the heart of America's industrial landscape. The tension is palpable as uncertainty looms over the future of one of the world's most influential automakers. The global automotive industry is at a crossroads, and Hyundai finds itself at the very center of this unfolding drama. Its sprawling factories, humming with activity, have become ground zero for a conflict that could reshape the economic ties between nations. The mere possibility of Hyundai withdrawing from the US market has sent shockwaves from Seoul's bustling cityscape to the halls of power in Washington, D.C., and into every American community where Hyundai vehicles are built, sold, and driven. The impact is felt not just in boardrooms, but in the daily lives of workers and families across the nation. This is far more than a business dispute. It's a crisis with deep and far-reaching consequences. Jobs are on the line, international alliances are being tested, and the very future of global trade hangs in the balance. The ripple effects could touch every corner of the world economy. President Donald Trump's America First agenda has introduced a new level of uncertainty, threatening to impose a crippling 25% tariff on all imported vehicles and parts. This move puts Hyundai's decades-long investment in American manufacturing, infrastructure and communities at serious risk, and could set off a chain reaction affecting countless other industries. For thousands of American workers who depend on Hyundai for their livelihoods, for hundreds of South Korean professionals who bridge the gap between two nations, and for millions of consumers who rely on affordable, reliable vehicles, the uncertainty is overwhelming. As the standoff intensifies, anxiety grows on both sides of the Pacific. The world is watching closely. Diplomats, business leaders, and everyday citizens are asking, can a compromise be reached before irreparable damage is done? Or will this crisis force a dramatic redefinition of the rules that govern global business and international cooperation? The stakes could not be higher. The outcome of this conflict will shape not only the future of Hyundai and its workers, but also the fate of global trade for years to come. Hyundai's American story began in the 1980s with the humble Excel, but it quickly evolved into a tale of relentless innovation and investment. The company's bold warranty and commitment to quality transformed its reputation, while the opening of its Alabama plant in 2005 marked Hyundai's shift from importer to American manufacturer. Hyundai's expansion, including the $7 billion Meta plant in Georgia, created thousands of jobs and cemented its role as a pillar of the U.S. auto industry. Today, Hyundai stands at the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution, with its Ioniq series challenging both legacy automakers and new EV pioneers. But now, the American dream Hyundai built is under threat. President Trump's America First doctrine is a bold, controversial policy that aims to put U.S. industry and workers at the center of economic decision-making. At its core, the doctrine seeks to revive American manufacturing, restore lost jobs, and reduce the country's reliance on foreign imports. Trump's message resonated with many Americans who felt left behind by globalization and the shifting tides of the world economy. To achieve these goals, the administration has used tariffs as a blunt tool, hoping to force global automakers to build more vehicles in America. By making it more expensive to import cars and parts, the policy is designed to encourage companies to invest in U.S. factories and create American jobs. The proposed 25% tariff on imported vehicles and parts is a direct challenge to companies like Hyundai, whose business model depends on a complex global supply chain. Hyundai, like many automakers, sources parts and assembles vehicles in multiple countries to keep costs down and remain competitive. For Hyundai, the sudden imposition of such a steep tariff would make many of its vehicles uncompetitive overnight. The company would be forced to choose between passing massive price hikes onto American consumers or absorbing unsustainable losses that could threaten its U.S. operations. Industry experts warn that this policy could spark a global trade war, disrupt carefully balanced supply chains, and ultimately hurt American consumers with higher prices and fewer choices. The ripple effects could extend far beyond the auto industry, impacting suppliers, dealerships, and even unrelated sectors of the economy. While the administration touts job creation and economic nationalism, critics argue that the policy ignores the realities of modern manufacturing, where international cooperation and efficiency are key to survival in a fiercely competitive market. Even the threat of these tariffs has already chilled investment, making companies hesitant to expand or hire. and creating deep uncertainty for the future of the industry. For Hyundai, the cost of America First could be catastrophic, putting its U.S. presence, thousands of jobs, and its reputation for affordable cars at serious risk. Tensions exploded in dramatic fashion when U.S. immigration agents descended on a Hyundai supplier at its sprawling Georgia electric vehicle plant, sending shockwaves through the local community and the global auto industry. The early morning raid was swift and highly visible, with law enforcement swarming the facility and news cameras capturing every moment. In total, 300 workers were detained, many of them highly skilled South Korean technicians who had been brought in for their expertise in advanced manufacturing. The sudden loss of these workers left the factory floor eerily quiet, and their colleagues stunned and fearful. The raid, widely interpreted as a punitive move amid escalating tariff threats, quickly transformed what had been a simmering trade dispute into a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Tensions between the U.S. and South Korea soared, with both governments scrambling to manage the fallout and prevent further escalation. South Korea's president issued a stern warning, stating that Korean companies might reconsider their investments in the United States unless there were clear assurances of workforce stability and fair treatment for their employees. Business leaders echoed these concerns, worried about the unpredictability of the American regulatory environment. U.S. officials, meanwhile, insisted the operation was simply standard enforcement of immigration laws, not a targeted action against foreign workers or companies. Yet, their reassurances did little to calm the growing anxiety among international investors and employees. For Hyundai, the consequences were immediate and severe. The abrupt removal of specialized workers created a logistical nightmare, threatening to delay the $7.6 billion Metaplant project and disrupt carefully laid production schedules. The ripple effects were felt throughout the supply chain. The raid has injected a new level of political risk into every foreign investment decision, forcing companies to weigh not just economic factors, but also the stability and predictability of the regulatory climate in the U.S. Now, international personnel working in America are left questioning their own safety and future, wondering if they too could be caught up in the next enforcement action. The event has not only damaged years of painstakingly built goodwill between Hyundai and its American workforce, but also created a climate of fear and uncertainty among employees and their families. The human cost of this flashpoint is now inseparable from the economic stakes. As families face job loss, communities brace for economic downturn, and the future of international industry in America hangs in the balance. Hyundai and Kia are not niche players. They're automotive giants, with over 800 U.S. dealerships and hundreds of thousands of vehicles sold annually. Their direct investments, including the Alabama and Georgia plants, support tens of thousands of American jobs, both directly and through vast supply chains. The Georgia EV plant alone represents a $7.6 billion commitment, with an additional $4.3 billion battery joint venture. If Hyundai pulls out, these facilities could become modern industrial ruins, and the economic fallout would devastate local communities. The recent deportation of 300 skilled workers has already created a critical skills gap, jeopardizing the EV project's timeline. The number 300 now symbolizes the diplomatic and human toll of this escalating crisis. The stakes are not just economic, they're deeply personal. President Trump frames the tariff threat as leverage to bring jobs back to America, while South Korea's president warns of lasting damage to investment trust. Industry experts call the 25% tariff a death sentence for Hyundai's U.S. business, noting that shifting global supply chains is costly and slow. Analysts predict a lose-lose scenario. Hyundai loses its third-largest market, and American consumers face higher prices and less competition. State officials in Georgia and Alabama, who championed Hyundai's investments, now face the prospect of catastrophic job losses. Homeland Security defends its actions, but economic advisors warn of a chilling effect on all future foreign investment. The crisis has become a test of leadership on both sides of the Pacific. Hyundai's exit would devastate regional economies, wiping out tens of thousands of jobs and slashing local tax revenues. For consumers, fewer choices and less competition would mean higher prices and diminished access to affordable vehicles. The diplomatic fallout threatens decades of U.S.-South Korea partnership, casting doubt on future cooperation in security and trade. The crisis signals to global investors that America may no longer be a safe, predictable place for business. The use of tariffs and immigration raids as political tools creates a climate of extreme risk. Other international companies will now think twice before investing billions in the US. The long-term damage could reshape America's economic future. Experts see three possible futures, none of them easy. In the worst case, Hyundai withdraws entirely, shutting down plants, dealerships, and laying off its US workforce. A partial retreat would see Hyundai focus only on US-built models, but tariffs on parts could still make production unviable, leading to massive job losses. The best hope is a negotiated compromise, but entrenched positions and political rhetoric make this unlikely. If forced out, Hyundai will redirect its investments and innovation to other markets, strengthening America's rivals. The US risks losing not just a manufacturer, but its competitive edge in the global auto industry. America first could leave America behind. This crisis is a wake-up call about the fragility of global commerce in an age of rising nationalism. The choices made now will echo worldwide, shaping the future of trade, investment, and international partnership. De-escalation and dialogue are urgently needed. Both sides must prioritize pragmatic diplomacy over public posturing. The Hyundai crisis exposes the need to modernize global trade rules and ensure stability for investors and workers alike. The story of Hyundai in America is a testament to the power of cooperation and shared success. Letting this partnership collapse would be a self-inflicted wound, with consequences far beyond the auto industry. The future of American manufacturing and its place in the world depends on rebuilding trust and working together.